Sis and tell, sis and tell. A whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. Amanda does stand up. Alison's on TV. And when they hop on the phone, it's the place you want to be. Sis and tell. A whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing.
Hey, Allie.
Hey, man. What's going on?
I have a TV question for you.
Well, I am the woman to answer any TV-related question. You know that.
First of all, do you watch Grace and Frankie on Netflix?
I know about it. I do not watch it. Lily Tomlin and
Jane
Fonda and their husbands come out of the closet and are in love with each other. Something like that? Okay.
Yes. And it's Charlie Sheen's dad, Martin Sheen.
Love Martin Sheen.
And and Sam Watterson. He's
Right.
so adorable.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love him. And I was watching it because they're like late 70s. Jane Fonda's character turns 80 on the show, right? And I'm watching it and thinking about how much I love the show and how I used to watch the Golden Girls when I was little, and they seemed so much older. I have to say, Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin's characters, and of course their natural selves, look so much younger than the Golden Girls. How old do you think the characters in the Golden Girls were supposed to be?
I think they were supposed to be in their mid-50s to late 60s.
They're supposed to be in their early 50s, which
Early
is shocking.
50s?
Yes, and Estelle Getty, who was actually younger.
Right. She
Then-
wore a wig and she
Yeah.
had, yes.
She
had
was supposed to
a
be
mask
like
or something.
70, 75.
She looks like
right?
she's 90.
90. But is that what older women looked like back then? I feel like the hairdos made everyone look so much older, but
Well,
like
Annie Potts, who I love. I mean, right?
she's not in Golden Girls. She was in Designing Women.
Oh, Designing Women. I get them confused. Yes.
I did love
let me-
Designing Women,
Let me
too.
switch over. So Golden Girls. Now I have to switch my answer because honestly, when you said Golden Girls, I was immediately picturing Designing Women. Okay, Golden Girls, I feel like they were supposed to be in their like 80s.
Yeah.
They're
right?
supposed to
But
be in their 50s. There's no way.
They're
the Golden
supposed to be,
Girls.
yes, they're supposed to be like 50, 52, younger than 55.
No. The Golden Girls, they're all retired, living in like Florida in a
I
condo.
know.
Nobody's retired at 50 or 55. I know that for
Well-
a fact because I'm in that range.
Right? But don't they that's what I'm saying.
No, I think you're
It's-
confused. I think the Designing Women were in that age range. I think the Golden Girls were supposed to be like 80. And
No,
Estelle
I
Getty was
looked-
supposed to be like 95.
I looked it up. I looked it up, and that's just not true. And now I'm like looking up Designing
I mean,
Women.
how old was B. Arthur when she played that role? She couldn't have been in her 50s.
She was older. She was like in her late 50s. Right?
And
the
Betty
only living-
White, first of all, let's talk
she's the
about that
only-
fact that Betty White is still thriving.
She's
I love her.
99.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Betty White in real life at 99 still looks younger than Estelle Getty playing the part of the 70-year-old.
Ain't that the truth? Yes. Ain't that the truth?
Love me some Betty White.
There's this woman on TikTok. I wish I could remember the account name, but she takes this app called Face App, maybe Facetune app, and she'll take characters from TV shows and give them long hair, and they look unbelievable. And I meant to send you the one from what's her name from All in the Family.
Yes. Edith.
Edith with long, updated, modern hair
Is totally different.
like 20 years younger and adorable. It's incredible. And
Which
hello,
means I should never cut my hair. But then I'm going to be one of those old women who have long hair and everybody says she should cut her hair. I used to think that there was an age where you had to cut your hair to get the Nana cut, right? Because Nana and Mimi both had those tight
short hair.
curl, go
Right.
to the salon, throw the plastic bag over your head when it rains type hairdo. And I thought, oh, there's a certain age where everybody has to have that hairdo. Apparently that's not the case.
I also feel like it's when you get older and your hair starts thinning, people think, well, I'll just make it shorter and then it'll look fuller and then I'll get it curled. I'll go to the beauty parlor every day and get
You mean
it
the beauty
curled.
parlor? The beauty parlor.
We go to the beauty parlor to get our hair curled.
Yeah. That is one of my goals. I'd like to be at an age where I never have to do my own hair again, whatever that means. I would just like to go somewhere, have them wash it, straighten it. I don't know. Even like before I work out, throw it in a ponytail for me. That'd be awesome.
Well, we TikTok also has this not app, what is it called? This filter where you can see what you would look like if you were bald. So we did it with Aaron because I've been telling him he should shave his head. And then I looked at what he'd look like with a shaved head and I was like, never mind.
Never mind. Yeah.
But Murray got a screen grab and he sent it to Mommy and Daddy and he sent it to Aaron's parents and they all thought he had shaved his head for a solid 3 days.
It
looked
really
that real.
Funny. That's amazing.
It looked that real. But I actually did shave Aaron's head once. Did I ever tell you this story?
Did he have lice?
No, this is before we had kids. We were living in Albuquerque and he had to go get his hair cut. And his dad said, go to my barber, but you can only wait for the guy in the middle chair because I cannot vouch for the other guys. And what did Aaron do? He did not wait for the guy in the middle chair. He came home and his own mother said, you look dumb. It was the
Those
worst
were her words exactly.
Yeah.
You look dumb.
Yeah, and then she laughed. Yeah. And you know what? It was like the Dumb and Dumber haircut. And he's like, I'll go back tomorrow and I'll go to the guy in the middle chair to get it fixed. And I got out the clippers and I go, no, we will fix it now. So
And you will learn your lesson, baby.
So then, then I go, oops. I swear to God, I've told this story.
I think you have told it.
Yeah.
And I started cutting hair during COVID just because the boys were desperate. And I used to cut the kids' hair when they were really little and didn't know any better. Then I started cutting it during COVID when nobody was going to the barber. And now Alan hasn't been to a hairstylist in over a year. And he just used the trimmers and I clean it up in the back. Every so often he tries to do the back himself. It does not turn out good. Yeah, he's still trying to grow out a little patch that he shaved off. But I've gotten pretty good. But I think men, the older they get, they just want, I think some want hair and then some just want to get rid of it. But let's get back to the retirement conversation with the Golden Girls. I'm still a little befuddled by the age they were supposed to play. But it reminds me of a story I read this week about a couple who have been retired for 8+ years and they have been living strictly in Airbnbs all over the world. And I think this is brilliant.
Yes, that is brilliant. There's this woman who actually, she budgeted out the difference between living in a retirement community and living on a cruise ship. And It was cheaper for her to live on a cruise ship.
So that's a thing too. People live on cruise ships, which is also brilliant. Well, not today. I wouldn't step on a cruise ship if you paid me anymore.
Kind of icky.
Yeah. So pre-COVID, let's say that was a brilliant idea. But this couple, they did the same thing. They figured out, could they live in Airbnbs for the same price it was costing them to live in their home in Seattle? So they said they could. So they rented out their home in Seattle. They sold their car and their boat or whatever. They put all of their stuff in storage and they did it for 6 months as a trial run, which turned into, okay, I think we can make this work for 2 years, which turned into selling their house and everything and all their property. And I think they've lived in something like 270 Airbnbs around the world in the past 8 years. And I'm not sure when they're going to stop. They're traveling and they have all these tips and they've really helped Airbnb with their process. And I say all this because that inspired Airbnb to hold this contest. They have a blog. I think they call themselves the Senior Nomads. And then that inspired Airbnb to hold this contest where people applied and they chose 12 people to spend 10 months living for free in Airbnbs anywhere they want around the world. And guess what? My friend Stephanie won. She's won. Yes. Over 315,000 people applied. My friend Stephanie Hayes, who was in Jew Crew, in my Jewish youth group that I've been running for 20 years. She was part of the original crew who actually named it the Jew Crew. But she's from Chattanooga. She's married to this amazing man, Peter, who's British. And literally when you see the two of them together, it's like you're watching one of those, like 4 weddings and a funeral. It's like the cutest British comedy in real life you've ever seen. Then they have a son named Hayes, who's like 2 years old, and she won. And they even before they had a child together, they traveled everywhere. They are unbelievable travelers, and they just explore and embrace and discover life experientially. And so she applied and she won. So she and Peter and Hayes get to spend, and this starts next month. So
That's
starting
so
September,
cool.
I think they might be starting out in Rome, and they're going for 10 months to live in wherever they want in Airbnbs around the world for free. And this couple, now I'm backtracking. I found out about Stephanie winning the contest first, but then I read the article about the senior nomads, and the senior nomads are going to be consulting with the 12 people who won and giving them just tips and advice and how to choose the Airbnb. And, anyway, I thought that is the coolest thing ever.
And how to map out your journey. So there's another company that will actually pay you almost to stay at Airbnbs. It's not actually Airbnbs, but you become like a professional nomad pet sitter, and then you stay at people's homes and you watch their animals for them. And it's not trade, right? You are getting paid to stay at these people's houses while they're away.
So you get paid and you stay at their house.
Yes. But
not necessarily. Like I have a cousin who does that in Atlanta. But
right.
she just does it in Atlanta and has her own business. You're suggesting that there's a service that hooks you up with people, but all over the country or the world?
My understanding is the world, but it could be just the country. But it's not like...
Because why would somebody fly me to Paris? I mean,
They're
please
not
do.
flying
If
you to
need
Paris.
me, if you need me to live on your farm and watch your llama, I am available.
That would be fun. but no, it's if you're going to be in Paris,
okay,
then instead of paying for a hotel... Instead of paying for an Airbnb, you would instead be working while you're there. You would be in charge of this person's cat, this person's dog. You would have to walk them, feed them, take care of them, deal with any sort of emergencies that may arise while you're in Paris. And the whole website is set up for people who travel and do pet sitting. So it's different than care.com.
What's it called? Do you know?
Or Rover. I don't remember. I promise you it's real.
This phantom site where people can pet sit and get paid all over the world.
Right. It's a great concept.
It is.
Right.
Well, everything, right? The world has totally evolved and changed in terms of the way that we stay, we communicate, we commute, we travel. It's amazing. If you had told my 10-year-old self or even 15-year-old self about this, I would have never believed it. Even my 20-year-old self. That was one of my favorite scenes from some like Hulu show that I watched where this guy traveled back in time, and he didn't tell anybody he was from the future except for his significant other. And there's one scene where she says, it's like the 1960s and he came from 2020. And she said, just tell me, I know you're like the butterfly effect and you can't tell me anything about the future, but literally just tell me one thing that happens in the future, just one thing. And he pauses and he says, fine. In the future, people carry their phones around with them, and it's also their personal computer. So she looks at him. She goes, okay, if you're not going to be serious and tell me something, then fine, just forget it. And she walks away because it is like, it's the craziest thing, even to go back, 50 years and think about, what's going on, or 60 years, what's going on today. It's insane. I can't imagine what our kids are going to be doing.
Well, in the late 90s, Stuart told us, one day we will all be watching television on our computers instead of the TV. And I was like, psh, whatever.
How did Bubba know?
I'm going to watch it on a small screen. And
right.
who knew? It just got even smaller, right?
Right. And I'm sure I've told you the story that when, I guess the BlackBerry was one of the first real phones to come out, but it was still almost like a typing. It was an emailing device. It really wasn't a phone in its original incarnation.
It was not a smartphone.
It was not it wasn't a smartphone. And I don't even think they had combined it. I think at the time when the BlackBerry came out, we had flip phones. So we had like those Motorola flip phones. So you could carry your phone and then you could do your email if you had a BlackBerry. And I remember this distinctly. I was in Atlanta. We had gone to dinner with Stephanie and Eric, our friends, and Eric had both. Like, he had the BlackBerry flip phone combination at dinner. And as we're walking out of the restaurant, he goes, "You know what I've heard?" I said, "What?" He goes, "Well, that BlackBerry's going to update their technology so it's not just for email anymore, that you'll be able to use this as a phone." And I took the BlackBerry, imagine, remember those? It now looks like an iPhone, but it was that very blocky square thing.
Huge.
It was huge. And of course the iPhone looks just like it now, but our idea of a mobile phone was a very sleek little flippy
getting
phone.
Tinier. They're getting, it's like that
so
Zoolander.
Where exactly. They're a little tiny phone. So I grabbed his BlackBerry and I go, right. Like, people are going to walk around like this. And I put the block up to my ear and I was pretending to talk. I go, that's not going to happen. Okay. Thank goodness nobody was relying on me to predict the technology future, because it happened like a month later. So
I think we need to go to Eric and Bubba for stock advice, right?
I know. It's
especially
amazing.
Stuart. What should we invest in?
Yeah. So in other news, did you see the exciting announcement that Mayim Bialik is going to be one of the new hosts of Jeopardy?
Yes, I didn't know it was multiple hosts. I hope the other one is LeVar Burton.
It's not, which is shocking. I love LeVar. I thought he was a shoo-in. He didn't make the final. It's a little bit weird. I don't know enough to really comment either way, but I think she's going to do special episodes, but the permanent host is actually this guy who was or is the executive producer of the show. And I don't even know who he is, and I don't know how he got it. I don't know why they went through like 20 celebrity guest hosts to then land on the executive producer who nobody's heard of, which I'm sure he might be fantastic.
Right.
But it reminded me, the irony is, I always loved not just Alex Trebek, but how he must have practice. He must have rehearsed certain difficult names or jargons or phrases before he said it, because he did everything so effortlessly and fluidly.
Like,
and
he
that's
knew
hard.
it.
Right. And foreign names and names
Right.
of people, etc. And I'm listening to our local news, and the guy says, and Mayim Bialik is going to be one of the new hosts. And I start screaming at the TV because, yes, I'm like, how hard is it? How hard is it for you to find out how to pronounce a person's name like that? And this is coming from someone who, is a Lebovitz, and nobody pronounces Lebovitz right. They want to say Leibowitz, or they want to change it.
Do they review the transcript, the local news reporters, before it comes up on the teleprompter? Because that may also be the issue, is that they don't know.
Right. Well,
until
I will say they have a responsibility to do so, because
and they could do the transliteration or whatever, how it's pronounced.
I would suggest that nobody in the news is necessarily, unless there's breaking news and it's emergency, but is reading it blind. I think if they've seen the copy and they know what's going on and they see a name that they don't necessarily know how to pronounce, you need to find out how to pronounce it. That's just common courtesy, especially when Alex Trebek of blessed memory spent so many tireless hours making sure he pronounced everything right. Can you get Mayim Bialik's name right? Mayim Bialik. It's that easy.
You know what? I totally agree with you. But back to the guy, the executive producer.
Yeah.
Being made the host, permanent host or main host.
Yeah.
You know what I think's happening? What is it called when you break up with someone and then you date someone immediately?
It's your rebound person.
Rebound. He is.
You think this is the rebound host?
This is the rebound host, right? Because because no one is going to be able to fill Alex's shoes, and Mayim is the special host for special events, whatever that means. But I think maybe it's like for celebrity Jeopardy.
It's like for college week and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is the rebound host.
I think
They're putting
you're
him
right.
in.
Yeah.
He's going to be like the target of all the ire, right? Any sort of negative comments.
Nobody can compare. Nobody can live up to his memory and his legacy. You're right. And then the next person will be awesome. I think I want to see how this plays out. So you may not be able to predict technology, but you can predict TV.
Yeah.
Like nobody's business. Like nobody's
really
business.
Good.
That is really
I see
good.
some foreshadowing.
All right. Mark it. today that we have established that is the prediction. I think you might be right, because it feels random that they would choose this guy, and a little off brand, but we'll see. We'll give him a shot.
I mean, I hope he has some TV credits, because it's one thing to be knowledgeable about to run a game show. It's another thing to be comfortable in front of.
Right. And I'm assuming he has presence on television, but probably the most important thing is he knows how the show works, and he knows, the preparation that goes in, and because they were filming multiple shows a day. That's exhausting. Yeah. So I think probably training somebody on just the mechanics of all that. But by the way, Mayim Bialik is a neuroscientist. I mean, she is brilliant. She's got her PhD. You couldn't find anybody smarter. Yeah.
And she knows pop culture.
And guess what? Let's just say for the record that she's Jewish, but not just Jewish. She is proudly Jewish. And she said in an article she did, I think one of the only articles she gave an interview for some Jewish newspaper, that in every episode where she was the guest host, she wore a Star of David somewhere. So it was either on her necklace, it was in her earrings, or yes. Sometimes it was, you couldn't exactly, where's the Star of David? It's like a little game. But I love that she's very, she's pretty religious, and she's very open about her dedication to her Judaism. So good job. Mazel tov, Mayim. Mazel tov.
Yeah. She was one of my fashion icons growing up.
Well, she was, or Blossom was.
Well, I feel like they're one and the same. I have to say, so it's very two different actresses, and styles. But I loved Blossom and those hats, and I also loved Lisa Bonet and everything she wore.
That's not actually that far-fetched. I mean,
they both wore hats.
Well, they no, but they both had a really distinct, unique style that was urban, but funky and off the beaten path. It wasn't something that you're like, oh, she's copying this. They really were their own unique personality. In that sense, they were similar. Lisa
Bonet had a way of wearing menswear and making it look so good and sexy and fun, and I just loved everything she did. And I'm sure I wonder who her stylist was on set.
I don't know, but I will tell you, I went through my menswear stage where I was wearing men's ties. Mommy must have told me they were in style. I would not have created that myself. But when I look back on those pictures, I shudder. It is difficult. I was not able to pull off the Lisa Bonet style with my tie.
It's funny because I was thinking about how fashion is cyclical, which Mommy always says. And I was thinking about this because I have another audition, not for the same role, but for a different part, for a TV show, a limited series show based in the 1920s. And I'm most excited about it because I would love that wardrobe.
Yeah.
That would be the hair, the wardrobe would be just so amazing. Give me like one word to say and I will do it for free. I would do anything to wear that wardrobe. And I was looking up the
Don't
wardrobe.
say you'll do it for free. They're even paying those people to watch your pet in Paris. So
right.
Don't.
I'll not do it for free. No, I won't, because the days on sets are long. But anyway, I was looking it up, the wardrobe for that era, and specifically for this role I would play, which I think I could say it was just a reporter role a female reporter role in the 1920s. And there are these women wearing ties, right? And it was, and to your point of you wearing tie, I used to wear ties also, and probably the 90s though. I don't know if you were doing it in the 80s.
It was the 90s.
And I think that came from the 1920s when women stopped wearing skirts and started wearing pants. And it was kind of like this defiant thing to also wear ties and do menswear. And I wonder if that's when the trend started.
Well, and it's also, that's how Coco Chanel got her signature look, because she would go on these business trips and she would get very frustrated because the men would pack a very small suitcase, because they literally had a suit. They could pack 4 shirts and 4 ties and their socks and be done with it. And she felt like she was having to pack multiple outfits. And so she found a way to feminize that sort of structure. And so just had the small, under, what is it? Like the, it's not a full shirt, but it was
the dickie.
The dickie, yeah.
She created the dickie.
I don't know if she created the dickie, but she created these. I don't want to give her full credit, but she had these, just the same mold, but the feminine version of the men's suit, where she could just bring lots of different underpinnings, as Mommy would say, to go with that, and then she would just change it out and create still a beautiful couture look, but for far less luggage. Are you looking up who created the Dickie?
I am. Oh, yeah. I'm just looking for like 1912 false shirt front or Dickie, 1915. I can't really find. I can't find who created it. Just that it really dates back to a long time ago. Talks about women's wear. The Dickie, traditionally worn by men, made the transition to women's wear around 1943. There are ads in Vogue. And I don't see anything about Coco Chanel, but that doesn't.
I might have made that whole thing up.
You could have. We tend to do that. We tend to.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, the Dickie. They could have come up with a better name than the Dickie.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. So to come full circle back to our TV discussion, I have to tell you my new favorite show that I'm watching, but I'm watching it on Netflix. It's not really on real TV.
All right. That is real TV. What does that mean,
I
real
know.
TV?
Well, I don't watch like things that have commercials anymore. I just watch them on my iPad. Back to what Bubba predicted. I'm watching it on my tiny little computer as in my bedroom. All right, I'm just going to give you the initials of the show, and if you're a true fan, you'll know exactly what it is. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
AGT.
America's Got Testosterone.
You're just joking with me. Well, America does have testosterone.
Yeah.
It's about 49% worth. But America's Got Talent, and I like it watching it on Netflix because I can zoom through the acts that I find are boring and also through the commentary. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I started watching, I went down those rabbit holes on Facebook where they throw you, the 3-minute golden ticket or whatever moments. And I'm like, oh, these are kind of good. So now I started watching it and I love it. And I wanted you to know that maybe you should consider auditioning because they have a lot of comedians who are on there. And I think you're probably funny, as funny, if not funnier than a lot of them.
You're very kind. And there's people who book the auditions who are constantly making calls for auditions to the Atlanta comedy scene. Yeah. And there've been a lot of Atlanta comedians who've auditioned for it.
I think
I'm not
you
one
should
of
try.
them.
I think you should try 2 minutes. You only have to have 2 minutes worth. Look, even if you don't make it to like the final, just to be on the show one time will launch you into a whole new hemisphere.
Will it?
Yes.
Unless I'm awful. What if they don't laugh?
Okay, if they don't laugh, it's very sad. And Howie Mandel, he's become the new Simon. He's very judgy.
Oh, I don't want to be judged.
But the other two, Heidi and Sophia, they love everything. And if you can make Heidi laugh, then you've got it. And he's starting to warm up. Do you see? I have become an AGT like fanatic. I'm talking about them like they're my friends. But there's a female comedian who is on this season. I'm not up to the part where they actually get like voted off the show. It's like The Voice. I like the auditions. I don't know if I like it when they start to cull it. But I'm also very judgy while I watch. But I think you could do it. Think about it. Just think about what your 2-minute act would be.
Oh, I know what it would be.
Oh, you've got it down already?
Yeah, I know exactly. It would be my whole bit about my sister and I look so much alike and everyone thinks we're twins. See,
by the way,
that's my biggest joke. I get the biggest laughs from, and I didn't even tell the punchline. So people are like, that's not even funny. There's more to it. I'm just not going to tell you. Yeah, come see me perform.
You have to come see our YouTuber. There's a female comedian who I love who's from Brooklyn, and she's Latina, and she's got an identical twin sister. And she's like, the worst thing is, like, my sister will call me and be having a tough time and be depressed. She's like, I just look in the mirror and I think I'm so ugly. And she's like, but you're looking at my face. How can you say that? I'm offended. No, I'm upset. Right? She's very funny.
Well, I think you're beautiful.
Exactly.
We're so good looking.
Right. Which is to say, never call me and say I'm having one of those days where I think I look ugly.
So I like, your straight hair. I'm very happy with my curly hair.
There you go. That works for you the same way this works for me.
There we go. So thanks for listening to the latest episode of Sis and Tell podcast. Share us with your sister. If you don't have a sister, share us with anyone. Really, we'll take anyone. Any downloads will do.
We're not picky. We're not picky at all. As always, this has been Amanda and Alison with a whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. We'll catch you next time.
Sis and Tell.